Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Danny Wants. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Fidel Hill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Salt, good morning. Babna Reddy, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for fuck's sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday. I am feeling fresh today. After last week. So many of you noticed, and I did talk about it. It was something that I absolutely didn't hide from any of you. I was just feeling like I lost my mojo a little bit. Feeling like I was a little bit skew-whiffy with myself. And this has been going on for a number of weeks now. I would say, well, definitely since after the launch. So we came back from Be Inspired, the event, flew straight into a series of really sort of intense situations. So literally from the event straight into an intensive with my gorgeous Lee House. From there, straight into challenge. From there, straight into launch. From that launch, which did phenomenally well. It thus began the roller coaster of them working with a whole bunch of incredible people, wrapping up everything that we did from Be Inspired. And it was a lot. And also it was a lot in a number of ways. So I was sort of sat middle of the week last week with my team, and I was like, I don't know what's up with me. It's doing me head in, because I like to bring you guys the fire, and it doesn't compromise. Even when I'm feeling a little bit funny, even when I'm feeling a little bit on the back foot with myself, I still turn up. Your girl's in showbiz, she knows how to switch it on. But I felt like I was having to sort of switch it on more than felt flowy, more than what felt necessary. I felt like I was like not putting it on. There was no fakery happening. I was sort of checking in with you guys and telling you how I was feeling as I was going, but it just felt more difficult than it needed to be, I guess. And it was because I couldn't really fathom out how I was feeling, what I was feeling. I just this real sort of strange, what is this? What's going on with my hand? Is there green screen on? Can you see that? What is this? My hand is see-through. Stop it. I think the green screen's on. Look. What is this? That is really weird. I think it's because I've got green on my tattoo, and I think somewhere in the settings, the green screen is activated. Is it? It is. Green screen's activated. I wonder what that was. I'm back to normal now. Thank God for that. I thought I was, not only have I lost my mojo, I've suddenly started to turn into an X-Man or something like that. Oh God. But yeah, like I was saying, so I was feeling this real strange state of flux and all of that. It felt calm and settled, no fight mode activity. I weren't fighting. Well, it was maybe with myself. And it was that kind of, meh feeling, and I don't like it. I don't like sitting in that. And I was talking to my team, and I was like, what is this? And there was a number of things, a glitch in the matrix. I feel like that's what it is. I'm peeping on the inside of it. Like I am in the matrix. There is no spoon. And I think that over the course of the conversations, I mean, we've got the incredible Sian Burton joining us today. And we're talking about success without sacrifice and all the incredible things that Sian shares within her business today. But also speak to all of the other story minders that have been part of Natasha Bray's story mind. There's such a connected lot. There's such an intuitive lot. And having those conversations every single day had me thinking, oh shit, I don't think I'm very connected to myself at the moment. I don't think I'm very aligned. And the reason why I'm not aligned is because if I think about all of the goals that I've had, I've hit them. And now I'm not scared anymore. And this whole fear that I've been living in for, God, I can't remember when I wasn't living in it. That we've got the house. We know that the bills are being paid every month. I've got the bigger picture stuff to work towards, Fly Anyway Foundation, growing this community, but to what ends? I was feeling a bit lost without sort of a goal. So this lack of fear all of a sudden, not knowing how to function without fear, that was a really interesting revelation. Danielle said to me, she was like, Dan, for the first time in a long time, you're not scared. I was like, oh God, how do you not be scared? How weird is it that we become so addicted to our fears and so addicted to our hustle and our all of this, that when you take it away and everything starts happening flow, it makes you feel strange. And this is another level thing that I'm only just experiencing. I haven't felt like this before, and I've been charting my journey since right back at the start when I was doing lives with my makeup in the car. That all of it's the dopamine hit. It's just all of it. Yeah, really, really strange. So the other thing that, and I posted again about this on Friday, is that I haven't had a direct mentor, so a coach that I'm working like in cahoots with, I guess, for a long while now. So the last coach that I had, that I was really working closely with, was the phenomenal Lisa Johnson, and I attribute a lot of what you see from IATQB right now to her. In fact, is anybody doing her race to recurring revenue this week? I know the challenge starts in 20 minutes, so I get it if you like bugger off, but don't if you can. Come and stay with me and Sean, because we've got some amazing things to talk about this morning. But the race to recurring revenue does start today. If you are getting involved, best of luck. You are going to absolutely love it. Love it. It is just phenomenal. I've no internet. I'm sat in McDonald's car park. Gotcha. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're with us. Amy, go and get amongst it. You will absolutely love it. So I haven't had a direct mentor for a long time, which means I haven't got, and if you remember, this is something I talk about in my book. This is something I talk about with you guys all the time. Having somebody who's further ahead in the game than you to share how they did things or are doing things is really helpful to me. I learn by doing. So if somebody I know, like, love and trust, has got their eyes in and on my business with me, not holding my hand, because I don't need a lot of hand holding, but just with an additional pair of eyes who knows what my business is about, who knows what I'm about, to help sort of steer me and help me adjust the sales is really helpful to me. I haven't had that in place for a long while. I've been self-managing and giving, so not really learning and growing myself. So that is what I did. I reached out to my incredible friend, Dan Meredith. If you haven't checked him out before, he's ace. His book, How to Be Fucking Awesome, is one of my favorite personal development books. One I read from well before I knew and met him. I was lucky enough to interview him as part of the big festoon that we did last year. And he ended up writing the foreword to my bestseller. They went bestseller again over the weekend. You lot. I think it's because he got knocked down to a couple of quid and you lot went mental. But we ended up in the top couple of hundred of the whole of Amazon. But Dan wrote the foreword to that book. And I've always wanted to work with him, and it just feels like the timing's right. That sort of loving brotherly arm. I need a little bit of that masculine energy because I'm doing a lot of the feminine work around it. So I've tapped up my spiritual healing friends. I've got things booked in with them. I've got things booked in with Dan. I've got things booked in to help me grow and move. And that, I think, has been the key learn, has been to recognize, rest, and then reset, which is exactly what we're doing. So speaking of reset, if you didn't know, last week I dropped a bombshell on you lot. I told you I was taking a break from the show. Only 2 weeks, but then we are going to revamp and recreate the show so that it has a little bit of a different structure, a little bit of a different format, complete overhaul of guests, the way we approach the production, everything. So when the new and improved show at Rise Up Show is coming at you in just a few weeks' time after the summer swarm. Kate Louise, that's what's addictive to the body. Try splashing your face in the morning with really cold water to initiate the brain to release dopamine, but you're still safe. Like cold showers, like I'm hitting up the Wim Hof thing. I was up at R5 this morning because I'm a mental, but like I've written, honestly, pages of journaling this morning. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I just thought I'd check in with you and let you know what I'm doing about that state I was in. And we're not sitting in it here. We are constantly renewing, constantly re-engaging, and all of that sort of thing. So yes, very, very exciting times ahead. Enough about me this morning. I want to share with you our incredible guest. I have been biting at the bit to get hold of this lady onto our show, and today we have managed it. She is joining us. It is the evening where this lady is right now. She's joining us from across the globe over in, I want to say Australia. Sian, you're in Australia, aren't you? Yes, it is. Please welcome to the show the phenomenal, the incredibly talented, ready to drop the gold for you this Monday morning, Sian Burton. Good morning.
Hello, Danny. That was quite the intro. Thank you.
I make it my business to give people the best intro I could possibly can. A, to make them feel good. And B, to raise the vibe of the whole thing. And also, I'm hoping one day, Sian, someone will employ me just to come and introduce them into rooms. So I'll just like follow people around.
And I love the conversation you were just having previously. It was a good intro to what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sian, let us get into it, because we've already kind of gone there from a meaty point of view this morning. And I knew that you and I weren't going to hold back today, especially in the field that you work in. So tell us a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, so I am over here in Adelaide, Australia, and I am a marketing coach and mentor. And I've been in marketing for my whole career. I was in the corporate space. But what I am doing now is approaching marketing from a really different way that I don't see many people talking about in the marketing space. So it was really great that you were talking about the feminine energy and the masculine energy, because most of what people think of when they think of marketing is very masculine energy focused marketing.
Yes.
And as women in business, when we think that's the only way that we can market our business and it feels really out of alignment for us, what I see most women do is just not market. And so they procrastinate, or they sit down to do something and they're like, oh, I don't really want to do that. I'll try this. I don't really want to do that either. I'll try this. And nothing feels good and nothing feels in flow. And so they do nothing oftentimes.
Right.
Yeah. So what I do now is to show women how they can do it in a way that feels really good.
And this, again, we keep coming back to it and we keep coming back to it. And the reason you guys watching at home, the reason why we keep coming back to this is because it works. When the click in the lock happens and you realize that whatever we've been told in terms of prescriptive selling, in terms of prescriptive marketing, in terms of prescriptive hustle, in terms of prescriptive business running, what we know or what we have been taught is not necessarily what you could or should be doing in terms of growing your own business. And getting back to, we bandy the term alignment around quite a lot, but if you are misaligned, nothing's happening. You're in a state of friction, you're in a state of resistance, nothing can grow. So how did you come to that work, Sian? How did you, so you've worked, like you say, you've worked in marketing for a long, long time. What were the realizations that happened that brought you to this space now?
Yeah, so a few things. After I left my corporate marketing career when I had my daughter, I started to consult back into the corporate space.
Yeah.
And I really saw that statistic that only 1 in 8 CEOs is a woman. And then the women that I did work with were like, I might as well have been working with the men because they'd learned this is how the way you are. This is how you become successful. Yeah. This is how you become a CEO. And after a while, I just got really disillusioned with doing marketing for people that just wanted to make more money, doing things that they didn't even really enjoy doing because it made them money and they wanted more of it. And I was just like, there has to be more to business than this, and there has to be a better way for me to use what I know than the way I'm using it right now. So that's how I came to be here.
Amazing. I mean, the statistics around, if we look at the FTSE 250 or the FTSE 500, 2% of the FTSE 500, 2%, and that was at 19. So 2019 are women, 2%. That's absolutely and utterly ridiculous. I think it's either 2% of the 250, 5% of the 500. Either way, it's fucking shocking.
It is a minute number of women that are up there.
If you think about the pie and the slivers that big, and that's only for us, and then we're not even talking about people who are non-binary, who are trans, LGBTQ, even more marginal when we start talking about people of color. It is frightening, absolutely frightening, just how saturated that market is, and we wonder why we feel like we need to masculinate ourselves in order to enter the fray.
Yeah, and so there's an awful lot of white middle-aged men out there telling people how to run businesses, and women running businesses is quite a new, in the volume that we are right now, is quite a new phenomenon, right? Like, we look back at our mums, they weren't out running businesses with side hustles, becoming the main breadwinners. They just weren't doing that. And so what we've emulated when we've gone, okay, well, I want to have my own business, is we've looked around to all the successful men and said, that must be the way I do it. But then for a lot of women, they start to do it that way. It doesn't resonate. It feels out of integrity. So they step back and their businesses struggle. And then they start to think, maybe it's me. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm not good enough, because we have a lot of us have that underlying a lot of what we do. Maybe I'm just not good enough to do this.
I think I want to ask you as well, because we might not be able to identify. You might be watching at home thinking, well, I don't know if I'm being masculine. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not going around I've not lowered my voice. And it seems weird, like I'm talking about masculinization. All of a sudden, my shoulders are broader, my voice is deeper, and I'm becoming more manly. But actually, what does working within your feminine, what is the difference between the two? What are the difference in the behaviors?
Yeah, so the and it's nothing to do with gender. It's really to do with energy. So I work with a couple of men who are very comfortable in their feminine energy. Right. And I used to be a woman who's very, very comfortable and over dominant in her masculine energy. And it's a daily thing to not fall back into that. It's actually about having them in balance. And so what I often see is that when you're in your masculine energy in business, you're trying to be data focused, you're being assertive, sometimes pushy, you're being driven, you're going out there, you're chasing goals. Like, my tone talks about the changes when I talk about it, because it's that real like go getter mentality. And the thing that really made me go, you know what, I don't want to do it this way. And I'm sure it's an amazing book, but I got about 2 chapters into the 10x rule. I can't remember who it's by.
Grant Cardone, and I can't fucking stand it.
Right? I get 2 chapters in and I'm like, I am not doing this. Like, I cannot 10x anything that I'm doing. And if that's how I need to be successful, then I'm done. No, thank you, I'm done. And that kind of made me think, God, there's got to be another way to do this. And then as I watched the things that felt good that I was doing, that were having lots of success, they were more about nurturing relationships with people, about collaboration with other people, about taking people on a journey, being empathetic, being with them where they're at, helping them have hope and inspiring them for where they want to be in the future. It was about building relationships that created sales, not pushing myself on them with all of my ego out there in the hope that they would buy from me, which doesn't work.
Well, it works for a very short period of time, because it's exhausting to receive that. It's exhausting to, if you're on the end of a bit of willy waving, it's a bit hard. It's exhausting.
It's funny you say that, because it does work. I said it doesn't work. It doesn't work for women, but it does work for men, because they love being sold to like that with each other. They don't like women selling to them, because they're like, just get to the point. What is all this fluff? But
then we've got, a large portion of the population there not then being sold to, because they're switched off by this approach. But also, it's proven, isn't it, that the allowance for the feminine energy in the sales space actually helps with customer retention, repetition in buying, people coming back, people moving through your product suites. So instead of just getting the wham bam, thank you, man, how many sales have you done today? How many sales has that customer participated in over their customer journey is far higher in the feminine space than it is in the masculine.
It is. And it kind of comes down to the fact that women like relationship. We like to be part of community.
Yeah.
And we want to feel held. We want to buy.
Right.
Like, we're happy to spend our money, as we all know.
Yeah, I'm so easy to sell
right?
to. I shouldn't even say that out loud, but I probably am.
But we want to do it in a way that feels in alignment for us.
Right.
So, and the really interesting thing that is that as there's this shift in consciousness and people are becoming more aware of this, the positives of the feminine energy, and that patriarchy is not quite as dominant. Now I have male CEOs coming to me and saying, what's this thing you're doing?
How do I tap into this?
But then they'll say to me, oh, our ideal client is a 40-year-old woman. And I'm like, well, then you have got it all wrong. If she's your ideal client, then I'm not surprised that your sales are crashing right now, because they're trying to market to them how they want to be marketed to.
Right. And also there is this whole paradigm shift happening right now. So if companies that are relatively male-led, if they are, then they're going to need to do a degree of waking up, an allowance and shift in order for them to continue to prosper. Because the more conversations that happen like this, that like we're reaching, you know, hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people on the daily with regards to this show, there are thousands of conversations taking place like this across the board. Look at how many podcasts are coming through. Look at, for example, the book that you've just released as part of your collaborative story mind. Congratulations.
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I just got my copy yesterday. So
oh my God.
I wish I had it with me.
Feels good having it in your hand. I don't know. I was reading it over the weekend. So I'm like, I don't know where it is. Be downstairs somewhere. Like I was reading it in the conservatory, and it's just such a luscious read. I think is probably the best way to describe it. A really luscious read, and it hits, you know, areas of trauma, recovery. It hits sacrifice. It hits, and that's something I want to speak to you about this morning. Actually, it hits on triumph. It hits on healing. It just a real beautiful anthology of stories, and yours is just wonderful. How do you feel being a best-selling author?
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite sunk in yet. You know, that should be like, oh my goodness, read on the book, and I'm like, it was like, I'm a best-selling author. I drank a lot of champagne over that weekend.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's just
good.
We could just drink more champagne if it just that's what feeling like a best-selling author is, more champagne.
You totally get to have another round of champagne now if it went bestseller again.
See, this is what I did, and then I made a decision over the weekend, and this is completely unrelated. I'm going to knock drinking on the head for a little while. Not that it was a problem, but I just thought, I want to feel a bit better. But one of the things that I wanted to speak to you about this morning, and I was obviously doing a little bit of research about you, is you use the frame success without sacrifice, and there's this, you know, we've talked about the hustle mentality quite a lot here on the show. We've talked about this, you know, fluidity between the energies that we require as we're building our businesses. Sacrifice comes up quite a lot with a lot of people that I speak to, coaches, mentors within the business, saying that, you know, you have to give up a lot in order to create excellent businesses that are sustainable, businesses that do good work. You've got to sacrifice a lot. And I've found over the years that I kind of did a little bit. What are your feelings about that? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, so that term came from the origins of my business, basically. So I was the director of marketing, 34 weeks pregnant with my eldest, taken into the office, asked to sign a non-disclosure, told the company was being bought out, which, having been through enough mergers and acquisitions, I was like, okay, well, that means I'm not going to have a job anymore. Right. And so I took some time off and was deciding what to do, looked at going back. And I had this realization that, you know, I was 31. I'd waited to that point. I'm sure other people can relate. But I was like, when I achieve this in my career, then I'll have a baby. And so I got to that pinnacle of my career. I was a director. And I was like, okay, well, I can't go part-time because there aren't part-time jobs at that level.
Yeah, like keep being a director at part-time level.
Would be lovely, wouldn't it? I can't go backwards because nobody wants me to be a marketing manager now when below them. And so my options are to go back full-time, which is not what I waited to this point to have a baby to do. Yeah. Or I go out on my own and I make my life fit around my baby so I can be the mum I want to be.
Yeah.
And I made that call that was the only way it was going to be. I wasn't going to sacrifice her for my career.
Right.
And so I've stuck true to that. You know, now she's coming up 6. I've had a second baby. And there's been times where I'm like, oh, geez, it'd be so much easier if I just put her in daycare another day. If I just did one more day. And I'm always like, no. My guiding principle with my business was always that my girls would be home more days of the week with me than they were, which is 3 days. So I'm like, if it can't get done in 3 days, it has to be outsourced or it has to not happen, because that's my line for not sacrificing. And don't get me wrong, like I've sacrificed, you know, nights out. I've sacrificed early bedtimes. Like I work sometimes late into the evening. So I do, it's not completely without sacrifice, but they are sacrifices I'm okay with.
I was going to say, and it's a decision.
Yeah,
there's a choice here, and I think that when we're in employment, it's a little bit difficult because we're not given as many choices. We are working for somebody else. That is a rota that is dictated by the employer, whether it's, you know, you work 40 hours a week that ends up being 60 hours a week, or there's travel that's involved, or whatever it is.
All of the above.
Stipulated by stipulated by somewhere else. Now, this time I sit here in yes, I still work a lot of hours, but I choose. So this is my weeks are now protected. My weekends are now protected. My team are working really hard right now to make sure that there's a really good balance, that I've got time to do things like go to the gym, or I've got time to read my daughter a bedtime story. I remember right at the very beginning of my corporate career, the kids were in nursery and I was on my own. So the kids were in nursery. I couldn't come out. I couldn't go part-time because it had brought me under an earning threshold. And they were there from 7:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening. And I only had them at the weekends. And it was painful.
Brutal.
I remember, brutal. That's probably the word I'm looking for. Whereas now, at least, even though it's mildly annoying, like I'm live and then Ivy's like rubbing her eyes, coming to say good morning to everyone, but they are a part of it. I'm not separate from them. They can see what I'm doing. It's not like I have to go to work so that they can't. They have no idea what it is that I do. So they're much more connected, I guess. And I feel that feels a bit better. So it's choice with regards to that sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I think that is different for different people. So for some people, it's not a sacrifice to be at work 4 days a week. Like that's how they want their life to be. And so the thing I really disliked about that 10X book was that it was, like you were saying at the beginning, pre-described. If you want to be successful, you have to do this. And I was like, well,
honestly, that book boiled my piss.
And mine, right? So I almost wanted to throw it across the room at one point, and I put it down. I was like, I'm not reading anymore.
No, thank you. I'm just not going to read anymore. I'm going to do it to myself.
But it kind of made me realize, like, it doesn't have to be that way. Surely we can do it in a way that feels good. And sure, there's some sacrifice. Like, I'm not watching Netflix with my husband every night, but I get to choose how I want it to be.
Right.
And I wanted it to be 3 days with my girls, you know, chilling out with them in the morning, not waking up, hustling them out the door. You know, the stress in the morning where you're shouting at your kids to get their I mean, we have kind of descended into that because now I have a 6-year-old. So it kind of like,
that gets
if you have a 6-year-old,
better.
right? You know that, like, where's your shoes? It's shouted every morning.
So I've got a teenager and a preteen now, and it's infuriating.
So some of it still happens.
And I was good. I think we was just like in a mutual agreement with the fact that we can't help it sometimes. The fact in the morning. In fact, I'd really love to know from you that are watching at home today, when we're talking about success and sacrifice. Wait till the 16. Oh, Amy, don't. I'm petrified.
Everybody says that, like, oh, you think it's bad now? Wait till. I'm like, but when does it end?
When does it end? Apparently, my mum says it doesn't end. Like, my mum still. Well, she works with us now, and it just doesn't recommend. The book is basically recommended. So, Joe Gilbert, this is talking about 10X. The book is basically recommended that you spam advertise until people can't avoid seeing you. Impossible marketing, which is
masculine marketing at its best.
But yeah, so I decided to read the whole book because I kind of was like, I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to sit here and be
so I can
uncomfortable.
fully judge it.
Get really judgy about it. I was just exhausted. I was exhausted by the time. I felt sorry for him. I kind of wanted to ring him and go, "Are you okay, hon?" Because actually, what is that? What kind of life? Other than the Playboy lifestyle, which is great, but how much happiness are you actually getting? What's at the top of that rope? You're climbing and what? Yeah, for sure. Unless you have the money to be able to outsource absolutely everything, and then your outsourcing bill decreases your margin. What are you taking home? What's the point? So it's great to have this conversation about finding that balance, and what can we do, Sian, about finding that balance with our marketing then? What can you give us some little tips around? Yes, there is this, definitely you do need to be seen in order to, we do need that forward motion, but what kind of tips would you give to us around that with our marketing?
So I always talk about the easiest way to sum up masculine and feminine is push and pull marketing. So if it feels like you are pushing yourself out there, so you're, all you're doing is Facebook ads, and you're doing lots of things that are pushing money out there, pushing your message out there, and that's all it is. You're expecting sales off the end. That's kind of quite a masculine way to do it. It feels quite ego driven, like, look at me, I'm the best. Whereas when pull marketing is where you attract people to you. So this is a great example of pull marketing. You're putting yourself out there, you're sharing your message, knowing that the right people will be drawn to you and your personality and your message. The same goes for putting blog articles out there, speaking, all of those kind of things where you're sharing your message and you know that the right people will come to you. They're more of the kind of push marketing, the pull marketing tactics that feel much lighter than the push marketing tactics, and they also have quite an element of trust behind them, I think, which is a really feminine energy that I'm going to stand here in my power and say what I truly believe in my heart. And I'm going to trust that the right people will hear that message and be drawn to me and want to work with me. And that's all I need to do. I don't need to hustle, and I don't need to, put myself out in front of the whole world.
I'm like your hit list of 1,000 people. You've got to burn through them no's to get to them yeses.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard on the heart. It's all right, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
I can hear that. It makes me feel so happy.
Yes, it's my 1-year-old at the door going, wow, like they're so used to seeing me on screens and doing stuff, so they're like, why can't we be?
I think can for me. My lot gigging all the time on my...
It will take your show into utter chaos, Danny. Complete chaos. We won't go there. My husband, I promise everybody, my husband is out there, and hopefully he will start to do what he's supposed to be doing. And come. She
sounds like me, doesn't she, you lot? But these guys are more than used to me having a fight with RIV in the morning, especially. But can you tell us, Sian? So you've had the book. The book's gone bestseller now. It's fantastic. Yeah. What's coming up next for you?
Yes. So off the back of the book, I am launching. Sounds like you might come together. I'm launching a new program, which is called The Feminine Way to Market, because I've had so many women say to me, you do this thing in your marketing, because I've been a marketing mentor for a long time. And this approach to marketing has really developed over the last couple of years as I have settled more into my own feminine energy, started to have more trust, have more less hustle, more flow. So it kind of felt like the right time to just encapsulate that into a really short course. It's going to run over 6 weeks, and it's really just going to teach people what the difference is between the masculine and the feminine, how they can start to balance more of the two, because it isn't just about being all feminine and not masculine.
Favouring one over the other.
Yeah. But it's so if I gave you an example, it's about, instead of just pushing Facebook ads out and hoping for the sale off the end, it's using that masculine approach to bring people to you, but then nurturing them through a sequence where they get to know you, You build trust, you build relationship, and then they feel comfortable to buy from you when they're ready, not you pushing them down a sales funnel.
And asking them the questions. Like, I've been on sales calls before where the tactics used are by any means necessary. Now, I'm a grown-up, and being pushed into a sale is definitely not the way. I mean, now more than ever, people are wise to when they're being sold to, or I'd like to think that more and more people are wise to when they're being sold to. It was really interesting, actually. One of my friends, Mike Boss, he posts stories about his mum and all sorts. And one of the stories was his mum received a phone call at the weekend from the local butcher. She goes and buys from the local butcher, and she goes there regularly every week, and it's lovely. You know, if you buy local, sometimes they have, you know, access to your number or whatever you give them. If you've placed an order, they can tell you when it's ready and what have you. And the butcher called my friend's mum and said, I'm just making a big batch of these pork and maple sausages. I know you love them. Do you want me to pop you some to one side? And she was like, thank you so much. I would love that. Thank you so much. Put the phone down. No idea she'd just been sold to. Like, even though that was that kind of marketing, that kind of selling, with the person at heart, with the other person in mind, with that nurture space, still masculine. He still picked up the phone. He still worked through his list of people he wanted to sell the sausages to.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But it was with them in mind. Him knowing, right? It's him knowing. That's the powerful bit, that he knew that she liked those sausages. If he was just ringing saying, "Hey, I've got pork and maple sausages. Do you want some?" She'd have said, "No, I'm good, thanks.
I'm all right, thank you." Eat your sausage, mate.
Eat your sausage, mate. and it is that balance, because you can't just sit and be in flow and expect, you know, it's that analogy, if you can't just sit on the top of the mountain and wait for the money to fall to you. You've got to, I know, I wish I would be sitting on mountains. You've got to, you know, do the actions and be in that masculine, but it's about flipping between the two and being in flow and, you know, doing what feels good, and knowing, like you were saying, knowing when to rest as well. So it's not just being in action, it's, I know I'm pulling that same face.
Learning.
I have just come back from 4 days out in the country with no phone signal. So that's kind of what my husband has realised is the way to make me rest. Take me camping in our trailer where I have no
Take her off grid, God damn it. Take her off the grid.
He sabotages me. I've tried to put my phone on charge, and I'm like, why is this now not plugged in? And he's like, isn't it? Dude, seriously.
Then you've got another hour.
Yeah, but it is nice, like, to take that time and get away.
And it's nice to have our people holding out for us and keeping their little eye on us and what have you, because we do, when we're excited about what it is that we do in our businesses and in our communities, it is hard sometimes to sort of press the eject button for a little bit and focus. Having those people around you just to kind of call you out on your BS a little bit is really helpful. Definitely something I've had these past few weeks.
Yes. When your partner starts saying things to you, you're like, yeah, okay.
All right. Don't tell me what to do. I'm an independent woman.
And then you feel bad because you're like, you know what, actually, it's a bit crazy.
I love you. So, Sian, how do we hang out with you? I'd love to share some of the links to your work and how we can get more involved, especially with the program that you're just releasing.
Yeah. So you can find out more about the new program on www.thefemininewaytomarket.com. Come and find me on Facebook. I am open, and if you want to connect and be friends, everything happens on my personal profile for me. So come say hi, connect, be friends. I'm not one of those people who doesn't accept people. I accept.
We can't be friends.
Everybody.
Like, come on in, everybody.
I don't know you. I don't think I know anybody that I accept as friends anymore. Like, if I know you, it's like, oh, that's weird. So they get to know you quite quick. Yeah, they do. And they're the main places to come and hang out with me.
Amazing. Well, if you don't mind, I'd love you to share those links in the comments section after the live today. Go and see to your gorgeous family. Sian, it's been beautiful to speak to you this morning. Thank you so much for coming on. What time is it where you are? It's early-ish evening, not too late.
It's 20 to 7, which is part of the problem, right? So it's bedtime crazy. Yeah.
Go do the thing, sister. Go do the thing. Thank you so much for joining us, though.
No, that's right. My pleasure.
the gorgeous Sian Burton, everybody. What a way to hit up the week. Thinking and sitting in that energy and allowing for that flux and that flow between the masculine and the feminine and everything in between. What I just kind of want to say, and Sian did touch on this isn't about gender here. We're not talking about people to be, trying to be a man or trying to be a woman, especially if you fall into the non-binary or the LGBTQ plus or trans community. What we're talking about is drawing on those energies for our behaviors in terms of that push and that pull marketing, which is really, really, really beneficial. I would love to know more. If you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you've got something to say about this, please do drop me a little line. We'd love to get you on the show to have a conversation with you about it. In the meantime, you lot, go and follow me on the Instagram, right? We are growing Instagram, and I think we are 125 away from 4,000 followers. So I would love it, just absolutely love it, if you went over to the Insta and dropped us a cheeky little follow at the Queen Bee Danny. Tell your friends. I am going to be teasing out to you what's happening with the new look show at Rise Up Show in the coming weeks. Tomorrow, I'm going to be flying solo. I'm going to be talking to you about the specific things that I've been doing to get refocused, to reset and renew and refresh everything that I'm doing. So please do join me tomorrow at 9:30 as I fly solo for the show at Rise Up Show. Take care, everyone. Have a wicked Monday. Go rip it up. I'll see you in the IATQB Hive. Tra.